Yeah, perfect.
That's good.
All right, cheers,
Cheers.
mate. Welcome to the podcast,
Thanks,
Jesse. Open Records, killing it at the moment, mate.
Yeah,
killing
it's
it.
definitely-
So let's start off talking about what's going on now, some of the success, because especially this last, I suppose, COVID or this year, just been killing it. Not that you haven't in the past, but it's been going really well lately.
Definitely
so,
got a bit of momentum going.
Yeah.
For sure.
So what's been
Well,
let everyone
today's
know.
actually a good day. It's the release of our new EP by Liam Seeker from Melbourne. It's called The Forest, featuring Alice Campbell on vocals. It's got a remix by Doppel, who many people know. He's probably the man of the moment in Australia right now.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't hesitate to say he's the sort of hottest Australian producer of the moment and a sort of integral part of Open Records. And then we also got Indian guy, weird sounding dude on board as well, who's also kicking some major goals lately. So
cool.
Really happy with this one. It's a bit deeper than the last couple we've done, sort of a bit more melodic, but it's actually a track we've been sitting on for quite a while. Sort of written a couple of years back. It's been through a lot of iterations and whatever, but we finally got it across the line, and really, really happy with the release. We'll have to see what happens tonight with the charts. I think all of our releases this year have done pretty well on the charts.
So what's this year like? What are some of the big releases you've had that have done well so far this year in 2020?
The biggest one was Time Machine, John Baptiste and Amuse from Melbourne, with a remix from Jamie Stevens as well, who I don't know if you know Jamie, but pretty much I would say Australia's most iconic dance music producer, really, when it comes down to it. He was a member of Infusion back in the day, which was ARIA award-winning sort of Australian live electro sort of band. And then last, decade or so or more, he's been producing solo as Jamie Stevens, and, he's got big stuff on Bedrock and All Day I Dream and Menja Massey and all these sort of elite labels. So, but Jamie's like a good friend of mine and been working with him for a very long time too. I think actually our first ever real Beatport chart hit was a remix of GMJ. First Hour Sound. I couldn't even tell you what year it was, maybe 2009. But so we've had, 3 or 4 tracks with him over the years now, and good friend, amazing producer, one of my idols. Pretty honoured to call him a mate these days, to be honest. But that one did surprisingly well. Like, it went to number 1 on Organic House on Beatport, and I think it was number 3 overall on the overall chart. And
that's so good for something that's in the organic house subgenre or subcategory to number 3. Like, that's huge. Like, you think about all the genres and all the music that's out there. That's really cool that that's
it's a new genre. Like, Beatport only created it this year because there was kind of this weird thing where stuff like All Day I Dream and whatnot really didn't have a genre that fit them.
Like in between, it's like a bit of this, bit of this.
Wasn't quite deep house, and they popped them into melodic techno and house, but then this sort of
it's not really
real melodic techno sound took over that genre and kind of So it was something that Beatport obviously had been working on for a while, and they actually did it in collaboration with our distribution Proton. And it was like it's good. I think a lot of people talk a little bit about the Beatport genres, but really they're about the crowd that are listening to the music more than the sound, because there's so much crossover in house and techno anyway. So if you've got a nice genre there that fits a particular sound, then it works. To be honest, I actually put this one in melodic techno and house, and Beatport changed it at the last minute.
Oh, really?
And I was a bit annoyed because I was like, this isn't really like organic house to me, but then it got charted and they put it in all of their
apparently it is.
Apparently it is. And so it did super well for us, and I was actually stoked. The Jamie's remix is now his best-selling track of the last 12 months, according to his Beatport chart. So to sit there above kind of these other big labels was a pretty mind-blowing thing for me. But all of our releases have done pretty well. The last 2 have hit number 3 in progressive house. The one I'm obviously pretty proud of is the remixes of Thank You City, Nothing But G, because I did a remix with my good friend Boy with Boat. Got to give him most of the credit there. He's definitely the wizard here. I'm just good at arrangements. So but that did really well as well. Doppel remix on there too, and then Doppel's last release, which was the first single off his new album Eucalyptograph, which we're doing later this year.
Cool.
With support of the ACT government. They gave him a COVID grant, so
that's awesome.
We decided to do the full length thing. And a lot of people have been waiting for a bit more than a couple of tracks from Doppel here and there, and so he's he's doing the album with us at the end of the year.
And that's cool because, you know, he's, like you said, he's at that level now. You know, it takes, I see young guys who are just starting and just 1 or 2 releases and then they're writing an album, and it's like, I mean, it's great as a learning tool and as a creative outlet and stuff, but it's like, it's really tough to actually push an album and market and sell and make it successful unless you've got that base and following, isn't it?
Totally. And I think you've got to really have a reason to do an album these days. The way the music industry, like, you know, Open Records has actually been going 13 years officially, you know, and we've gone from being...
What was your first release that you did?
It was called Slow Release. Yeah, we can tell the story of that later, actually.
Okay, we'll get into it later. Yeah,
Open Records has a convoluted but pretty interesting history, really.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into the history.
But like we came from, when we started out, it was pretty much all physical, and digital was kind of just... Like Beatport was in its infancy.
That's interesting. So you've seen it from
and I've
both
seen
sides,
basically the whole industry just keep collapsing sales-wise anyway for a very long time, right up until now, where people don't consume music the way they used to.
No.
So I think if you're doing an album, it's got to be a real body of work. It's got to, you know, be worth doing because, like you said, you've got to have an established fan base for it to connect, because people's attention spans now are so short, you know, like... A lifespan of an EP release is 2 to 3 weeks, you know?
Yeah.
You know, you might have tunes that keep getting played because they're great, and that's kind of what I try and pick with Open is tunes that are going to stand the test of time. But at the same token, like, you've got to understand, especially the way dance music works, where the premium is really on the fresh stuff. You know, like, if you're doing something with 10 tracks, how do you know, make that not just be a blip in the radar?
Yeah.
You know?
And the other thing is, like, you know, like you said, it's fresh tracks. It's like, well, instead of doing the 10 as an album, you can do the 10, but just release one every 2 weeks, you know, or a month or whatever it is.
Exactly.
So that they are constantly fresh. And the problem is that's not really, like, not every album track is going to be that kind of a single, you know, sort of track. There's heaps of tracks on albums. So that's why I think, like you said, the concept, it's got to be a concept, or it's got to be one body of work or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely, like, the value there for that.
We're trying to approach this one a little bit more like a band would, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we're doing singles in the lead up. We'll do singles afterwards. Got some remixes lined up for the singles and stuff. So, you know, while there'll be one big dump of tracks in summer, we're sort of going to have a couple of things leading up to it that really primes it. And, you know, like, Double's on a complete roll at the moment. It's not just us he's releasing on.
Yeah.
You know, he's got stuff on Iron Musica, which is Iron Music's label. That's huge.
Yeah.
He's got another one dropping on Basic Records in a couple of weeks, or even less than a couple of weeks, like 8 days or something like that. And super great release. He's had track on Digital Structures, you know. So, like, there's definitely some major momentum going there now. Yeah. And, like, it's the hardest thing for this one at the moment. It's actually been trying to figure out where to put his releases on Open in between all the other stuff he's doing, because he's so busy.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're sort of clearing the decks a little bit closer to the album so we can really double down on that and make it work. And we're sort of exploring a few ideas. We've got a film clip being made for Kisses from the Canopy, which is the last EP.
Yeah, cool.
That's in the works at the moment. We're looking at a crowdfunding campaign for some vinyl as well, because I think, like, cool. Again, it's one of those things that makes it a collector's item then, rather than just a, you know, blip in the sand digital thing. And, you know, coming into summer, now we've got things actually looking like they might happen, which is fantastic.
Hey, you can stand and drink now.
Yeah, that's it. And
who would have thought like in 2020 we'd be excited to be able to stand up and drink? Like, what the hell? You can stand and drink now. Oh, yeah, cool.
Yeah, but, you know, like, we're looking like we might even be able to have dance floors by December, and that's a pretty good thing for...
We just need to have a wedding every weekend.
Yeah, totally. Do you want to get married so we can have a dance?
Yeah, well, I reckon I know a few celebrants, so we can organise that.
Yeah.
And we've got everything else sorted with the industry, so just open weddings. Open weddings. That sounds like
it's our new division.
December.
We're definitely going to make more money off that than choose, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's, you know, it's crazy, and I've seen that you guys you're doing an event, sort of a regular one now on the Sundays, right?
Every second Sunday at Sub Rosa.
Every second Sunday, yeah.
This is actually Butters' little thing. Butters is obviously one of my best mates and collaborator with things like Melt. And
wearing one of his shirts.
You certainly are.
Bit of more.
I was trying to find one, but there was an unclean. So
yeah.
But yeah, look, Butters. I got to give full credit to Butters here. You know, it's his night. He's going to be curating the whole thing. He does all our design. He's involved in sort of, A&R stuff at the label and just basically
he
partner in
he's
crime.
part of the team. Really. It's not like he's just taking
right-hand man,
charge
if anything.
of that. Yeah.
But they sort of offered him a regular thing, and it's funny, we were kind of trying to figure out a name, whether we would do it under Melt, whether we would do it under, another name. And I just kind of joked that maybe we should just call it Open Sundays because the place is open on Sundays.
Yeah.
And it was like, ding, light bulb.
Perfect.
And here we are. So, it's really cool. It's great that we're going to have, the Sunday session going again, because that's like sort of where I've particularly been playing a lot more in Brisbane is on that, whether it was Capulet, Sub Rosa, whatever.
Like those, Sub Rosa, I almost called it Capulet, but Sub Rosa. Capulet, Sub Rosa, that venue is great for afternoon day parties. Like that's totally the vibe. Like there,
that's what it's made for.
Really.
Outdoors, great sound system. Even if you have to sit down, I don't think that's such a bad thing on a Sunday.
No, that's what I mean. Like a day party is more of a social thing, isn't it? It's
exactly.
like you still have obviously the music and the dancing and all that kind of stuff is part of it.
Have you been to one of the Melt day parties? I don't know if you would call it.
Yeah,
there's definitely a dance floor going on there. But I totally appreciate it. And it's something you can, if you've been out on Friday or Saturday as well, and you're just looking for something chill to do on a Sunday, it's going to start with actual chill music. It's not just going to be dance music the whole time. We've got Mixed Business, who's Christopher Brooks's sort of chill hop, soul kind of project, and that he'll be kicking off. And Butters has got a new chill project called Hugs. I don't know if that's public, but if it is, announcement.
There you go, bang announcement.
Yeah,
Hugs. I think he's showed me a few of those tunes. We went to kick-ons after that Dark Kitchen or whatever, where they produced the thing.
Yeah.
And he was just like, because I had never heard him like any of his original stuff. I heard him when he was doing Subzilla stuff with Ra, and then he'd never shown me anything or anything. And then I heard his tunes at the Dark Kitchen. I was like, oh, this is like awesome, dude. Why haven't you sent me any of these? Like, how have I, And then he's like, oh, and then he was like, I don't know whether he was just like stoked that I was keen, and started showing me a heap of tunes at the kick-ons. And he showed me one I think you guys were working on.
We've got a couple working on at the moment, actually.
Yeah, so that was really cool.
Look, Butters is a wizard. I think he's like, as a DJ, possibly the most diverse DJ in almost Australia, really. There's not many people who can go from sort of chill through hip hop, breaks, drum and bass, funk, house, techno, whatever. I've seen him do it all in one set, let alone, and like I think
and do it well.
Exactly. Yeah. Like wizard style.
Yeah.
And like I can definitely mix, but I couldn't blend it like that. He just makes it seem seamless. And I think he's been plugging away in the studio for a very long time, but the last couple of years he's really knuckled down and got serious and bought himself a mug and, all these things that have really kind of lifted that sound, And I know he's just super keen on it at the moment, especially like with the whole lockdown thing.
Yeah.
It's given everyone a chance to sort of get creative and do some other stuff other than partying all the time, So, full points to Butters, and I think everyone's going to be really excited when they hear what he's been up to, because it's pretty next level.
I've never met anyone who doesn't love Butters.
No.
You know what I mean? Like,
he's the glue that binds us all in Brisbane.
Yeah. And I even said to him, I was like, oh, man, you need to go other places and do things. And he's like, no, man, I can't leave. I got to stay here. Like, we've got to keep this scene going. Like, so
true.
He's, like, I love that about Butters, that he's all about the community and everything like that. It's not like, how did you... Since we're talking about the Butters thing, how did you meet Butters then? If he's sort of your right-hand man, you were saying, and I know you guys have done Melt stuff together, and I think I met you at one of the Melts, where Butters was like, Joe, you got to meet Jesse. You guys haven't met yet. And I was like, hey, man, how you going? Yeah.
Nah, it's funny. We actually haven't known each other for that long, but it's like one of those cases of like, we were doing like the same things and had the same taste in everything for a long time. Jay Berry introduced me to him at Capulet one time.
Yep.
And we just had a brief chat, and like we both knew of each other. In fact, I'd like watched him play back in the day, playing breaks when I didn't even live in Brisbane. I just used to come down from Cairns for the odd party or whatever,
stuff. Yeah.
And like, so I knew who he was, but it was really Manifest, I think 2016, that we really connected. And it's funny, we had this little moment. He was fully vibing on Doppel, and that was Doppel's first gig in Brisbane.
Okay, yeah.
And it was actually where I met Doppel too. We released some stuff and had some success with his first single, Melt, which to this day is still his best-selling best-selling release with us, and I think anyone else really. And anyway, you know, it was this meeting of the minds, and I remember Butters sort of dragged all of his crew down to the dance floor on Sunday because Open Records was hosting the Sunday afternoon on the main stage, and I was sort of standing there with Andy Doppel, and you know, Butters, I like said g'day to Butters because we'd sort of met once, and we started having a bit of a chat, and he's just like, yeah, I'm here to see Doppel, and I'm like, well, Butters, me, Andy, Doppel, and that was sort of where we all met, and we're all like super great mates now. It's really down to that, and you know, pretty much from then on in, we've just been super tight, and you know, the more we hang out, he's like a brother to me, you know.
Yeah,
it's just one
and
of those
it's probably
people.
you know similar vibes of music that you guys enjoy and stuff like that. Obviously, he loves Doppel and was there to see him, and you guys had a real, you know. So
it's amazing how music can bind people, but when it comes down to it, we just like similar vibes in a lot of things.
Yeah.
You know, like there's certain people you meet along the way, and it's often for me, it's through music. I don't know if that's like because we're on a similar vibe or it's just the scene we're in or whatever, but you know, like when you just connect with someone, you know, on a kind of deeper level, it's like, he'll be my brother for life for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So let's go back and talk about how Open Records started then.
Yeah.
You said there was an interesting story with the first release.
Yeah. It's a long and semi-cautionary tale, I think.
Yeah, well, that's good. People need to hear those cautionary tales.
Yeah.
And maybe you can laugh about it now a little bit as well.
I definitely can, but it's also been linked to some of the biggest lessons I've had in my life, for sure. So I don't know, about mid-noughties, 2005, 2006, me and my friend Ian Young, who used to DJ under Woodsman, were both playing out a lot of festivals and doofs. We were pretty regular faces, you know, we were starting to get gigs at things like Rainbow Serpent and the big sort of festivals around.
Yep.
And like he was DJing for Xenon Records, which is like a huge, worldly famous psychedelic progressive label.
Yep.
And I was playing a kind of deeper, more melodic sound that was pretty popular at doofs, but there wasn't like any labels really doing it. And we'd met these guys who initially had been like my musical heroes, guys like Antics, Descend, Sun Control Species, Igor, etc. And they were all like making incredible tunes and were great dudes, but no one really wanted to release that sound that they were doing. And we were both like, what the hell? Like, this is great music. Why isn't anyone doing it? And like, because Ian had been involved with Xenon and they were starting to really blow up, we kind of like were a little bit inspired there, I think.
Yeah.
And we were like, I don't know, I think I was about 22 and he would have been 24 or something. And we thought, let's give this a go. So we put together a compilation featuring the guys that I just spoke about and some other cool artists from around the world. And it was actually really successful. It's called Slow Release. And it's the days of CDs when that was still like the deal, you know? So like we put out this CD, we signed up to a distribution in Denmark and we signed up to Stomp distribution in Australia for digital, and like the CD did actually super well. By today's standards, it'd probably make like the ARIA top 10 in sales. It did like 4,000 copies or something.
Yeah.
But because we were kind of young and dumb and didn't really like know what we were doing, first up the distribution in the Denmark collapsed. And so we like sold all these records, but didn't get a cent from it, you know? And you know, went on with
that's not really your fault though, is
no,
it?
it's not. But it's really, like, you know, you probably, if you had better sense with how contracts worked or whatever, there's sort of all sorts of funny deals back then because music was a lot more profitable. And you had to sell an X amount of money before you got paid or whatever. And they
cover the cost of
whatever.
Yeah.
And they kind of like ran us out for a long time and then collapsed and took all of our money. And then basically the same thing happened twice more with digitals. So like
digitals,
with digitals, like Stomp was a very high profile collapse in Australia. They did the same thing. We had to make, I can't remember the exact amount, but it was a certain amount per quarter to get paid. And if you didn't, it rolled over to the next quarter and blah, 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 blah. And we weren't super active on the digital front then. So we weren't making that much money. And again, Stomp collapsed, owing $11 million, I think. And they were like a huge distribution. Guys like Balance, who are still active, were part of Stomp at that stage, you know. And the whole collapse just took all this money out of Australian dance music in particular. And then it kind of happened again with another guy that I signed up to afterwards. So, you know, for the first, very long part of Open Records, we were spending money on it, but literally didn't make a cent.
But you're spending money on it, being successful,
yeah,
but not getting money in return.
On numbers, we were actually quite, we were kicking goals back then. We had a Beatport #1, I think, in 2012.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, again, barely saw a cent from it. Got a few payments here and there, but like compared to what I spent, it's just like not even close.
Yeah.
So like after a while, actually, Ian sort of had a few things going on in his life, and he left pretty early in the piece. So it was really just me dealing with it by that stage. And then there was a long period where I kind of went, you know what, like this has cost me a lot of money, and I'm not seeing anything for it. I kind of like got a bit disheartened and gave it a break for a while. And then
how long was the break then?
Definitely a few years, three years, something like that, 3-4 years. It was like we did the odd thing. We might stick out like one EP.
But you weren't like,
but we weren't
if someone like was like, oh, can you release this? You're like, oh yeah, it's cool, we'll release it. But it's not like you were actively looking for people and taking in submissions and listening all the time. Yeah,
I mean, I still kind of don't do that. It's mainly just my friends. But again, we were sort of releasing a lot of overseas artists back then as well. And that just made no sense to me in the long run because they didn't know us. They weren't friends with us, and like we'd spend money on like an advance or something like that. And it just would, like, even if that sold quite well, wouldn't really add up, And after a while,
they're not part of the collective.
No,
what I mean? Like, they're not part of the team. Like, it's a bit different, isn't it?
No, it definitely is. And like, that's what I came to realize. And there was this funny moment. It was like 2016, and this is where kind of Doppel comes into the picture. Really, is that I was like wanted to get the label going again because I had good friends who were making great tunes. And again, no one was really releasing it. So it was sort of like I was in that same position again when we started. But I had a really good think about it. And there was a couple of things that happened that made me really think was, one is I got a long email from the guy that owns Technosis Records in Canada. And he wrote me this thing going, where are you guys at? You guys actually helped inspire our label, and kind of there's a whole sound of this going on in Canada right now. Are you guys ever going to do anything again? And I was like, what? Like,
that's so cool, eh?
Sometimes when you're in this little like microcosm of what you're doing, you don't see the kind of bigger impacts.
Well, you don't know unless he sent you that email. You would never know about that, And I think that's something important for anyone doing anything that's like creative or anything like that, is that a lot of the times it feels, and I got this from the start when I started the podcast, a lot of times it feels that no one's listening, no one's noticing, no one's, whatever, but they actually are, but they're just not like telling you or something like that.
I totally agree. And like, I always knew Open had an impact because, when we started, we were really the only label doing the sound we were doing in the world. Yeah. And we did build up quite a large fan base. I could see from the amount of Beatport followers and SoundCloud stats and all that sort of stuff. We did well, and I knew it was a thing. But I think that letter plus then I was sort of cruising around SoundCloud one day, and I like just found my way onto Doppel's page, and he had this track on there called Melt, and I just like listened to it once and just lost my mind. Like it was the best track that I'd heard in years. Yeah. And like, I couldn't believe it wasn't out anywhere. I was like searching Beatport, and I like wrote him this like fangirling message on SoundCloud, like totally just like, oh my God.
Oh man, I'll suck your dick for this track. Give it to me. Like,
holy crap. And then anyway, he wrote back to me and he was like blown away because not only was like Open Records tunes some of the first tunes that he'd ever bought.
Okay, yeah.
When he first got into like dance music and DJing.
Yeah.
But he also had kind of set himself a goal to get signed to Open Records. And I was like, it was just one of those ding stars aligning moments.
Yeah, like, what?
Yeah. And
really?
Like, things like that. Like when that happened, I was like, look, we got to do something. Let's get this out. And signed Melt. I asked him, who would you love to remix your tracks? He said, thank you, City and Retza. Good friends of mine. Shot him the track. They agreed straight away. Yeah. And next thing you know, we had like a real genuine global hit on our hands. Like it did super well. Yeah. It's to this day one of our highest selling EPs. still sells good numbers.
Yeah.
You know, it's done hundreds of thousands of streams on Spotify.
Yeah.
You know, and it was the kind of seminal track. And since then...
So that's what kicked it back off again.
Right back off
What
again.
year was this then?
End of 2016.
Yeah.
That also coincided with me signing to Proton Distribution.
Yep.
So they're a Californian-based digital distribution platform, and they're really high-tech. Most amazing people I've ever worked with.
Yeah.
Their whole system is just a level up from anybody else in the game, really.
Yeah.
Like, they have this automated contract and system that just does it all. They, you know, pay the artist direct because they're a publishing company.
Yep.
And they basically all the tools they provide make my life so easy because all I'm really doing is focusing on the label. All of the stuff that used to be the grind with contracts and things that would just spend ages on and weren't fun at all are totally a thing of the past. It's just click, done, boom.
It's all automated.
It's all automated, you know? And not only that, but they're great dudes who really believe in open records.
Yeah.
And they've given us heaps of support. They're super tight with Beatport and all stores.
Yeah.
Spotify, they're one of the first to get beaters with the Spotify mix thing that's going on now, which is about to probably wipe SoundCloud off the map. They've got, you know, an auto mix thing that Spotify is trialing at the moment through their new virtual platform.
So they're very, like you said, tech oriented.
They're basically like a tech startup, you know?
Yeah.
And they have, I think, around 1,000 or more labels on board. And it's all kind of just makes that whole process.
But that's the thing is if it's automated that, you can have 1,000 labels and it takes the work off you. But if they've got it sorted on the tech side automated, they don't really have to do anything either.
Well, they do. That gives them time to focus on working with us. And doing these cool things, you know? And since signing with them, it's just that made it all make sense.
Yeah.
You know, I can just do music. Everything is like clockwork. And I know some of the artists we've worked with literally said it was the first time they'd ever been paid for tunes since we signed over to them. So I think benefits, you know, I can't even speak how amazing it is. And that really just changed the game because it means I can sort of pop out tune after tune after tune. It
takes a huge amount of tedious work off your hands, right?
Yeah, and it's sort of made the modern world of digital dance music, which is completely, I don't know, it's just a very hard thing to master. Yeah. That little bit easier to do. And because I had you know, more than a decade of basically stuffing everything up. Yeah. I know what to do and what not to do now. Yeah. So there's always room to improve. You've always got to keep innovating and doing new things because otherwise, you know, that's how fast this thing moves. But at the same token, I have the best tools available to me and that quite a long base of knowledge to really do it. And I actually took another little break last year to do some personal stuff going on in my life. Yeah. It wasn't I was ever going to not do it again, but I just needed a little bit of time to breathe. That's the thing. It's kind of this whole thing's just been me for more than a decade, or around a decade, you know? Yeah. And it's a lot, it's a lot to do when you work full time in a really high profile job as well. Yeah. Where that could easily just eat up your entire energy for the day.
Oh, easily.
But, you know, this is what I love to do. And I realized, you know, in 2016, it wasn't about these big international guys anymore. I realized I had to put the focus on what was here in Australia. We were all my mates. I'd way rather spend time helping out my mates, use Open as a platform to get themselves where they need to go. I'd rather put the money in their pocket than someone I don't know. Yeah. You know, and I'm not saying I don't release overseas artists because I do. But the way I approach it now, it's very much a family thing. Yeah. I don't see it like business kind of thing. Yeah, it's more like this platform that we have to all, you know, get ahead in this thing. Yeah. And since I've sort of changed my whole thinking of it, it's all just made sense. And that's also, I don't know if it's some hippie vibe thing that when you have the right intentions, everything comes together, or whether it's just that years of experience.
It's probably a combination of all of it, you know, and being, you know, supporting a local scene that you're actually connected to. is going to always, reap benefits and things like that. You can put events on here and have the artists play here, whereas it's like, it's hard to get an overseas guy to come play. So you can do features of all your artists and stuff and build a local fan base as well as the international one. So,
and I think too, got to remember, like, we're on an island, and it's very hard to get off this island. But what we have on this island is actually pretty special, and it's its own thing. So, like, there's a lot of labels that are just trying to follow the trend, with whatever's cool on Beatport or that's not how you make success. You know why? Because there's like so many labels who are already pretty good and they're much more connected to the global thing than we could ever be from down on this side of the world.
Yeah.
So by putting the focus on the unique thing, and I think that's a bit of advice for anyone thinking about starting a label or a project or whatever, is don't follow the trend. Keep up with the innovation, but don't try and be everyone else. Be yourself, because that's what makes you different from the 15,000 other tracks that drop on Beatport every single day.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
Our point of difference is we have a thing that no one else is doing. We have artists that don't get released much else. I'm actively trying to, because that helps us now in the long run. But, these staple guys that I work with on every release, like, that's our sound. And I don't put a genre on it. More so, I just go. This
is our sound. This is open records.
Yeah, this is what's happening now.
Yeah,
and that might change because when we started out, it was essentially slowed down progressive psytrance that had just turned into prog house. At that stage, it was kind of when the transition happened. We've gone through kind of what we call bush techno now. We had like one of the early, I'd say the seminal early bush techno release, Expansion Pack, compiled by Ian, my original label partner. And, and then we've sort of come back to melodic, progressive, deep house, techno, whatever. But it doesn't have to be melodic. It doesn't have to be whatever. It just has to be something that I think is going to stand the test of time. We've got tracks from 10 years ago that still get played in sets now. That's what I'm looking for in tunes more than anything
longevity
else.
And something that's because like you said, it's not following a trend, so it's not going to go out of trend because it,
there's so much stuff that's just throwaway. It's like might happen for 3-4 months, and then the next thing's cool.
It sounds like another tune already. Like
exactly.
It sounds like that tune. And something I love about that, and something I've sort of been thinking about and talking to people about, and have had bigger guys say to me and stuff is like. People always talk about with music production, like reference tracks. Yeah. Referencing, you reference, do your reference. And like, it's great when you're learning and, to understand things and to reference and maybe for volume and stuff like that. But I had like some bigger guys sort of say to me one day, they're like, do you think that people who are individual, write really different stuff, like a great example is Flume with his, when he came out with all this stuff. Do you think Flume was referencing for those tracks? You know what I mean? That's what they always say. It's like, if you want to make different stuff, you don't necessarily want to be referencing. You can do it for volume and stuff like that, but otherwise you're starting to follow a trend a bit.
Exactly. I think production side of things, by all means, shoot for the stars. If you hear someone doing something mixed down wise, whatever,
technical stuff.
Try and get it technically as good, if not better, whatever. But like you said, you don't want to go, I want to go in and write a track that sounds like Doppel. No, exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? Like that's.
But what I think, on the flip side of that, what I think is often very successful, and I think this is the case with Doppel and Thank You City and Funk Form and guys like that, is that they do pay homage to a sound that is popular. Yeah. But they put their own twist on it. Yeah. And it's that twist that makes them stand out from the thousands of other standard prog house and melodic techno.
They're not trying to make that sound. They're influenced by it. Yeah. But they're not going for that particular sound. Or they're taking influences from that and from other, genres, whether it's, rock music, hip hop, whatever, and bringing it all together and fusing it into one. To me, that's actually what progressive music is. Like, I remember Denox. I don't know if you've heard of Denox, big progressive DJ. Mm-hmm. I was really young and he came to Cairns once. Oh, you're a Cairns boy too. Yeah, that's where I came from. Yeah, so, forget about that. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of this stuff was happening from Cairns, which is even weirder because it's such a small city and we didn't have, So when did you move here? Nearly 6 years ago. Okay, yeah.
So, but you know,
all before then was in Cairns.
In Cairns, yeah. I was traveling a lot. Like I'd play a lot in Sydney and Melbourne and Brisbane and things. And Cairns actually had a really amazing doof scene.
Yeah.
Sort of
Oh,
early
yeah, the
on.
doof
It's
scene,
kind of not as good as it used to be mainly because the cops are all over it these days.
Yeah.
But back in the day, that's like it was happening. People were traveling to Cairns to go to parties, and that's where the inspiration came from. We were either in Melbourne down there at big festivals and stuff, or people from Melbourne were up there. So there's this kind of cultural exchange going on. But where was I going with that?
You're talking about not taking influence from other people, but putting your own spin on things, I think.
Yeah, and I think we were all influenced by the Australian party culture at the time.
You can't not be influenced by whatever you've experienced. You're going to be influenced by. Yeah,
but we have our own thing here with the party culture as well.
Yeah,
and that sort of translated to a sound that you don't hear in Europe.
Yeah,
or anything different, anything like that.
It might be influenced by it, but it's not the same. Yeah.
So, and all those artists came up in that same place.
Yeah.
So they've all got their own twist on it and their own take on things.
Yeah.
But what made them stand out is that little tweak of extra special sauce.
Yeah.
I guess you
can't put your finger on it sometimes. You just go, oh, it sounds like this person.
Yeah.
But it's like, why? And it's like, I don't know.
No. But I could probably name a bunch of influences for all the artists.
Yeah.
But again, they don't sound like them.
No.
And they're definitely not, trying to ape their style or anything like that. And I think, the more you can establish that, and that's a hard thing. It doesn't always come straight away. Some people it does. Some people music comes easy because they've either had some sort of training or whatever, or they're just like, that's their brain,
Yeah, yeah.
Or other people, you got to really work at it. And I think, the more time you spend and the more you be yourself and just do what you think sounds great and good, then the better artist you're going to be in the long run. There's not a race to this. I think
that's a big, talk about that, because that's a big thing.
It's a huge problem now, I think, I think this translates to not just music, anything in society. I think definitely. The nature of social media and image being the way it is. I see so many people these days, they spend more time working on their PR than they do the actual art.
Yeah.
And that's there's some things that are valid for that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of artists, and this is probably why I do Open Records, is they spend all their time on their art and they don't do enough of their PR.
Yeah.
So, it's a balance. But I think, if you're spending your whole time promoting yourself before you've really found your feet, then you're setting yourself up to fail, or not fail, but it's going to be a long slog to get where you want to go.
Yeah.
And I think the best artists are the humble ones.
Yeah.
The guy, by the time my mates who I consider produce some of the best music in the world got to that point, they weren't thinking like that. Their eyes weren't, I want to play main stage, Rainbow, whatever.
It's not very often.
They probably wanted to, but
they weren't like, that's the thing
what I want to do.
They actually loved the thing.
Yeah.
Making music.
And I think you can feel passion and vibe like that is palpable. And you can tell the difference.
People, when you meet someone who's actually like that, an artist, they're different to the one that's just wants to be the person, on the stage at the big festival. I find anyway, I don't know, I find I'm kind of good at reading people and stuff, but when I just sit down and or just talk to someone, I can tell, man. I can tell if they're just in it for the fame and all that kind of stuff, or if they actually love, doing it.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny you should say that, because I'm a music journalist originally. I don't really do much anymore. I do the odd review and things like that because I work in the regular news now. But I spent the first 8 years of my journalism career writing about music and arts and stuff like that. And I could always tell, just by the way when I was interviewing someone, the biggest superstars were the most easy to chat to. And whether that was because they were old hats and had the experience. And there's always the exception to the rule. There's just dickheads everywhere, basically.
Yeah.
But, you could always, I remember sometimes you'd talk to this new band or whatever, and they were fresh in the scene and just blew up real quick. And they were always dicks.
Yeah.
And like I'd always have like really bad interviews or just like come out of a phone call or face to face, whatever we were doing, and just be like, man,
asshole.
like that was painful. But then I'd go and interview someone who was genuinely like a legend. Like I remember I got flown down to Adelaide to interview Jimmy Cliff, the reggae guy. You know, I can see clearly now.
Yeah,
and that was like one of the biggest moments of my music, getting flown to another city.
Legend. Yeah.
To like interview this guy who's won like multiple Grammys and pretty much almost like helped popularize reggae along like Bob Marley, you know? And like he just finished playing main stage Adelaide. We had a little interview time swapped in. He spent so much time with me, gave me full time of day, fed me with his crew food. You know, was the nicest guy I'd ever meet. And, you know, I was just like, that kind of perspective that the people that are really there, that there's some humanity to that. And again, it was like that passion, you know, you could tell he was just a guy that loved what he did. See him on stage, you know, lifting his knees higher than I could when he was like 68 or something at the time, 70, whatever he was, you know, and it's just like, again, it's that example of like the guys that really rush up to fame, it gets to your head. Yeah. But inevitably the world / the music industry is going to like kind of chink that down over time too. And even guys who did, you know, you knew had big heads back in the day, by the time that they've been doing it for 30 years, they mellow right out because it's just the nature of the beast, you know?
And I think the other thing is that like, and I've experienced that 100% as well. It's always the top guys are always really nice. The ones who are like the next tier down are the ones that are like, because they know they're not the top guys.
Yeah.
And I think it's because, like, honestly, I think that the top guys who have been around for a while, it is the passion in that, but it's also the fact that they know they've had help along the way.
Yeah.
And that they need, you know what I mean? Like, they know it's not just them. They're like, I couldn't have got here without all this help from other people. So I'm going to help other people, whether it's giving you a good interview and get a good experience, or whether it's speaking to another artist or an artist liaison or whatever. I think that's a big thing as well.
I think that's actually how you get to the top.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's an arrogant thing to think you can ever.
No one ever does it by themselves.
No,
exactly
one. Not. Like, and, you know, like, even just back onto my level, you know, like, I think the reason we've been able to really kick the goal this year, when I came back, I was like, I really want to reestablish Open. We've been going 13 years. There's no point doing this anymore if we don't really just smash it. Yeah. And the only way I could do that is not do it by myself anymore. So I got Andy Doppel on board. I got Butters on board. I got Jess Nichols, Wilmer on board. I got Will, Boy with Boat on board.
Yeah.
We've all got little jobs. It's not like everyone's doing heaps of stuff. I'm still doing most of the things I used to do.
You did this. Help with this.
Yeah, Butters is looking after the artwork. Andy's looking after the mastering. Will's taking demos. Wilmer's just being epic. You know? Nah, but seriously, like everyone does sharing, doing things, and it's just...
Oh, I can't do this. I'm real busy on this. Are you able to do this for us?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, man. Easy.
A little bit of help has just elevated that extra bit.
Yeah.
And now we've got this momentum going. I think that's the other thing about COVID is a lot of like places shut down.
Yeah.
Because it's true that the sales have dropped on average a lot during this period because there's no gigs and our main market is DJs buying music. And if no one's DJing, well, a hell of a lot less people are making money off music. But what we've done is, one is that we're able to kick the goals because there's less of a competition.
Yeah.
But now we have this momentum. So when stuff does kick back off again, we're going to have that roll on. Yeah. We're not going to have to basically start from scratch. And that's something I've learnt from dropping out a couple of times, is that when you do drop out and you stop doing things, it's pretty quick to like people forget. You know, there's a whole new generation of kids who never even knew who you were. You know,
but that's why like something like, you know, to bring it back to what's happening now with like local Brisbane, like Sub Rosa, for example, same thing. Like they kept doing the live stream and now like I've been to Sub Rosa a few times and I'm seeing people there that I would never see there.
No, 100%.
They would be always at the Met. They would always be at somewhere else.
Yeah.
But now they're going to Sub Rosa.
And I think it's also to do with passion too.
Yeah.
You know, like Sub Rosa is not just a business to make money.
No.
You know, Shane and Rob and the team they really care about dance music and care about the scene.
Yeah.
So
100%,
they're happy to take a little bit of a hit and jump through the innumerable rings that they've had to jump through to keep going. Like the amount of stuff that's happened since just the whole sit down clubbing and all this stuff.
Yeah.
They've just kept going.
Yeah.
And a lot of the other big venues, all they exist for is money.
Yeah.
You know, so if they're not making money, they don't care. Whereas like Sub Rosa, it's the like beating heart of the Brisbane club scene.
Yeah, for sure.
It's the only place that consistently, even before all this, consistently just backed, you know, proper house or techno music.
Yeah, yeah.
And trance and all these other things.
Again, not going on the trend.
No.
You know, like not really just like going for the trend or whatever.
No, and it came, you know, Capulet was doing the same. Yeah. You know, that's the vibe of that venue.
Yeah.
And every city needs a place like that.
Yeah.
Without it, it'd be, you know, pretty disjointed.
Yeah.
And I can kind of remember because excuse me, I kind of moved. I don't have COVID, by the way. Had the test a while back.
It's all good if you do. It's all good if you do. No, I'm sure you don't.
But yeah, I think, you know, when I moved to Brisbane, Capulet hadn't been sold to Sasha yet. And it was it was doing gigs, but it wasn't its full-time house and techno thing.
Yeah.
And I felt like when I arrived in Brisbane, coming from Cairns, where it was actually really easy to throw a party. Like in Cairns, you put something on, because there's not that much going on.
People come.
Whole town comes, you know, and you could easily just put 400 or 500 people in a venue. No worries at all.
Yeah.
Every weekend if you did it, you know, people are up for it. It's a tourist town. People like to party, whatever. I came down here and like, despite being a massive city, like I remember just being like, wow, like it's really, really hard to get people to come out.
Yeah.
But then the kind of dragon fruit thing kicked off. And I know there was a lot of crews who'd been putting in a lot of time and effort over the years, and I'm not discounting them in any way. In fact, like they built what was able to come after that.
Yeah.
But having that one centralized place that just always did it, and like, you know, dragon fruit started letting in all the other crews and whatever, it became this like kind of hub. And I think everything needs that, you know, to be successful.
Yeah.
Because then you get a regular crowd, you get people come out every week. They're your core base. Then you do get these extra people that might wander in and they used to going out to the Met or something else like that.
Yeah.
And that's fine, that's cool. But like they come across where like the true kind of heart of the scene is. And suddenly you're not just getting 100 people out every week, you're getting 200, you're getting 300. You're filling up the venue, you know? And like without that, like Brisbane would suffer, you know? And that's why you have to say big ups to Shane for taking over and you know, keeping Sub Rosa and in ways like elevating it to another level. And you know, just what they've done through this pandemic is just like remarkable. You know, and I know that everybody else, particularly a place like Melbourne, which is now is still in like complete lockdown essentially, they look up at us and go, what the hell? Like, who'd ever thought Brisbane would be the most happening city in Australia? You know?
I've been waiting. Because I've said for years that I reckon like we don't have the big population of other cities, so we can't put on. You know, we can't have 3 underground venues. You know what I mean? We can only really have like. Oh, you reckon we could?
Yeah,
maybe. I don't know.
I think Brisbane's a funny one because it's not small. You know, any city with 2.5 million people.
Yeah, but it's not like
it's very stretched out.
Yeah, but it's not like the other cities where you've got like what? How many in Melbourne?
Nearly 5, 4.5 to 5 in Melbourne.
So
and 5 million.
Double the population.
But they have way more than one venue.
Yeah, I know that, but that's what I mean. I'm saying like,
not,
you know, like
I think we underestimate ourselves a little bit there. Yeah. I think it's, you know, it is a lot harder to get people out here for a number of reasons.
Yeah.
Partly because Queensland is chill and it's just as fun having a beer on your deck by the pool, playing some tunes with your mates. It's not cold half the year where you have to go and like be somewhere warm just to like, you know, enjoy life.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of factors, you know.
Yeah.
It's very stretched out, you know, that's not one concentrated kind of place. You know, you've got Sunny Coast, you've got Brisbane, you've got Gold Coast. You know, it's more like 3 centres, you know. And you can't discount elsewhere either because elsewhere's the same.
That's true.
Elsewhere is to the Gold Coast as Sub Rosa is to Brisbane.
Shout out to elsewhere.
Can't stoke they're back up and running. Can't wait to give it another run down there. It's actually my favourite club to play, to be honest. But side note. But
trying to get those bookings back. He's like, I need some bookings. Hey, elsewhere, favourite club to play.
We've already had a chat. But no, honestly, like that place is such a vibe on a Sunday night. Like it's just something else on those light up squares.
Yeah,
the sound system kicks and it's just cool. I love it. And I lived on the Gold Coast when I was young too, so it's nice to be kind of home, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like there's definitely challenges in Brisbane that other places don't have.
Yep.
But I also don't see why we can't grow this scene much bigger than it is now.
And I've always thought we've had amazing talent here. That could be like that should be, like just for example, Butters. Like even though he hasn't released a lot of music and stuff, but what he has in the vault ready.
Yeah, it's not just that. It's like he's been DJing professionally for like 13 years or something, 14 years, longer.
I remember his bio or whatever. I think it used to be the hardest working DJ in Brisbane or the something like that. It was
He's one of the only guys I know up here who for a long time that was all he had to do to make money, like didn't have to work the day job like the rest of us, I think we're going back to the discussion, we've pissed in Butters' pocket this week.
Fuck you, Butters. Fuck you. No.
Respect. But I think there's so much untapped potential here.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I think there is.
Like you said about the talent, like every DJ I know in Brisbane, partly because I think they've had to fight for it to really make a name for themselves because it is that lot harder here. But also just their passion is it's always about the music, because if you don't have 10,000 gigs to play in all the time, then it sort of turns it a little bit more internal. And a lot of the guys might not play out that often, but when they do, they're like world class.
Yeah.
And it's because they love it. And there's like a little bit of chin strokery stuff that goes on, but that's actually because people love music. Yeah. And you can't ever discount somebody because they have a such honed taste in tunes that, that's their thing. And that's cool.
So that's cool.
But
just don't be a dick about all the other stuff.
Exactly. That's it. Respect those that don't do what you do and give props to those who do well. Yeah. But I think, if we all work together, there's no reason this place can't be as busy, if not busier, than any other place in Australia, particularly now, because it's going to take a while for everyone else to get back to full steam. We're already on, hitting the ground running. Yeah. We're going to be the place to be for the next year at least, I'd say. Yeah. And if we capitalize on that and really, make it happen, then I think the sky's the limit, because we're a big global city that is on the rise, And, whatever you think about all the development happening around Brisbane or whatever, that's just going to be bringing more and more people to the city. Yeah. And it's going to mean more and more opportunities if we jump on it. But it takes, self-starters. Yeah. And you got to be in it, not because you want to get famous quick or make a heap of cash, because that's not going to happen anytime soon. No. It's years of, work before you get to that point. But the ones who are in it and passionately do something because they want to create a vibe and do something different for Brisbane are going to be successful. Yeah. And I think, we just have a golden opportunity right now. Yeah.
So if that's you, come move up here.
Yeah, that's it.
If you're from Melbourne or Sydney and you actually want to do that shit,
I think that's actually the beauty of Queensland.
You're welcome.
In Melbourne, for instance, and to some extent Sydney, but they've had their own challenges with nightlife, is that not everything's been done here, And I think Melt is probably a pretty good example of that, is that, we were not doing tunes-wise super different. There was lots of people who were into that sort of sound in Brisbane. Mm-hmm. But I remember when I arrived here, there wasn't a whole lot of decor going on anywhere but sort of doofier events.
Yeah, that's true.
And we saw that and wanted to.
It's because blah 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 stopped. We used to do a bit of decor stuff.
But it wasn't like the thing. You'd go to a lot of gigs and it'd just be like a banner with a sound system and a DJ. Cool, because it's all about tunes and everyone dances, comes and does whatever. But the minute you throw in that extra element of art and give people a real way to self-express themselves, And that was our idea with Melt, was to bring that kind of vibe that's super present at Doofs here. Like, you know, we have actually some of the biggest and best festivals and Doofs in Australia, in Queensland, especially.
Bloody oath.
You know.
Bloody
they're
oath.
world class. Things like Earth Frequency, Elements, Manifest before it went down, all these sort of things. Rabbits, now they're up here. But, you know, like that's what's just done in that scene.
Yeah.
So there was just not happening in the clubs. So we thought, well, why don't we kind of bring that to the club?
Bring it to the club, yeah.
Got together with Apro and Christian Kerr and Butters, and like that, we all had our own kind of little circles, but we're all connected through that scene.
Yeah.
And like it took us a while to like really build momentum, but I think now you see a lot more decor happening at club parties and stuff like that, because it's just something no one ever did.
It adds another layer on top of the experience, because clubbing and dance music has always been an experience.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
It's not just the music. It's like, for me, when I first like experienced it, I'd never been to a big club. I'd never been to something that had the lights, the visuals, the whole package. And I feel like you really need to experience the whole package before it makes sense.
100%.
And that's just like adding to it, the package.
And whether your experience is a little black box, dark techno dungeon, or like explosion of rainbow colors with everyone dressed up, they're still both on that spectrum of experience, you know?
Yeah.
And I think, that's the one thing that, like, if everyone focused on making sure the experience of their event was as legit and as rich as possible in whatever direction you want to take it, I think we wouldn't have any more problem bringing out crowds, because you can't tell me that someone new comes along to something and they get that vibe that they won't come back the next time.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
They just don't know about it, you know? And like Brisbane, there's a lot of really passionate people, and then a lot of the crowd is very green.
Yeah.
But they're up for it, you know?
Yeah.
So if you can figure out a way to turn those people who are sort of just new to it into like regular people coming out, we're only going to go up, you know? And like, this place is booming, it's growing. The people that really dig their heels in now, 5 years away, where are they going to be? They're going to be some of the top party brands in the country.
Yeah, exactly. And like, you know, I've always sort of thought that, you know, I've never had like a hatred for the real cheesy EDM sound, because I feel like that gets people into it initially, and then they figure out what they like. Yeah, it's a it's a gateway drug, that EDM. You know, because people, like I said, people go to a commercial club in Brisbane and they hear that, oh, I love this dance music, and then one of their friends goes, oh, come see us at Sub Rosa one time, and then they go there and they go, this is me, like, this is cool, like, you know, like, so I've always felt that you need that side of it to build.
You do,
you know, that kind of
stuff. You also have to make sure your crowd's the right crowd.
Of course,
I think rather than like attracting every bogan in town, from the get go,
because they're not always going to like it. They're not always going to vibe with it.
That's it. You have to make sure that the people coming to your event are across the spirit of the event.
Yeah.
And I think it's much better to start small, do something that builds itself organically and with the right people, than it is to just like flat out saturation market. Because, you know, you could spend all this money, you could put billboards up in the valley, you could like put the biggest DJ on in the world for your first gig. You might get a huge crowd, but is it a quality crowd? No.
Are they going to have good, like, events? I've always said with events, like, you're better off, you know, like breaking even and having an awesome vibe than making a heap of money and it's a shit show. Like, no one has a good time. You know?
100%.
Like you said, it's about the experience.
Yeah, and it's also like a road to not fading into obscurity pretty quick, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you see it all the time that people try and jump in on a fad. Again, going back to the fads.
Yeah.
It kind of happened with like Bush Doofs, you know, when all the big EDM festivals went down.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of like people started throwing Bush Doofs, but they weren't Bush Doofs. They were just, you know,
they were like the EDM festivals.
EDM festivals with the scene.
Yeah.
And that's had like, I would say, like a kind of detrimental effect to the scene in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to be careful and you have to make sure like that, you know, you're bringing in good crowds that like understand the ethos, you know?
Yeah.
And that's,
I mean, it's probably the most overused word of 2020, but they get the vibe.
Yeah.
You know, like it's so yeah.
Even if they don't get it at the starters, you know,
Yeah.
it's about like, you know, you can't not get swept up in it when a majority of the crowd is in it. You know, if some idiot comes to, you know, a gig and is acting like a fool, you know, and
the crowd will
200 people there, I guarantee that guy's gonna get kicked out pretty quick if he's being an idiot. You know. That's because
the community
is around
will police itself.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like they'll be like, no, you're being a dick. Like, you know.
And that's, you know, in the doof sense, that's how that worked for a very long time until events got so big that you had to have security and all these sort of things, you know?
Yeah.
So
it's like if someone's being a dick, we'll just all like work it out as a community.
Yeah, that's it.
And tell them, you know, sort it out.
Either sort them out or don't let them come back, you know? Yeah. And it's like, I just think that community is what's important.
Building a community around
whatever you're doing.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, whether that's a podcast, whether that's an event, whether that's you're a producer, whether you're running a label, whatever. Like the key is getting as many like-minded people together, and supporting you. You've got to give back to it. It can't be like this one-way street where you're just like, give me your ticket money and give me this.
Yeah, you've got to give value and
that's
something.
It. So, but if you
show them you care, and
that's it. And like with Melt, for instance, you know, we'd have up to 30, 40 of our mates all chucking in building decor, spray paint things for no money, you know. Often they'd even buy a ticket, even though we were offering them a free one. They'd still pay on the door.
Because then they have to think like, I made that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, they have ownership. Like, they're part of it.
Exactly.
They're part of something bigger,
We never considered Melt, you know, to be a thing that we owned. It was something we just facilitated. Yeah. And we invited anyone who wanted to get involved on board, and we still do. We're obviously in a bit of a flux at the moment with everything going on because, you know, it takes us 3-4 months to just build the decor for an event because we do it all pretty much from scratch.
Actually, I think, I can't remember whose house it was at the kick-on, but a heap of the decor was downstairs.
It would have been Danny's, I reckon.
Yeah,
Shout outs to Danny and Josh and Stefan for storing all our stuff.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. It definitely was. Yeah, no, that was interesting. I was like, oh, all the Melt shit's here. Like, you know, downstairs.
Well, that's what I mean. They are Melt. Everyone who's ever contributed to it was Melt.
They're part of it. Yeah.
You know, and that's a different thing than an event that's out to make as much money as it can on the door.
You're not there just for the dollars. And I think that's important that the scene needs that in any way. People think that, you know, events, and I've had my cousins and family members say, oh man, you used to do events. Like, you should just like throw events. You make heaps of money. And it's like, well, that's not really what throwing events and stuff is about. It's about supporting the scene and putting on a cool thing. And you might make a little bit of money. You might lose money. You might break even. But at the end of the day, it's like, if you want to make money, don't go into events. You know, like if you're doing big tours and stadium arena tour, you know, with big things, then you're talking money. But
professionally, you can do it. But
you can, but it's not.
You need that. Like, it's a magic mix of some money backing you up, a huge network of people.
Yeah,
the experience.
It's not as easy as people think. People think, oh man, like, you know, what, $50 a ticket, and there's like 1,000 people there, bro. That's like. You know, that's heaps of money. Yeah. You're like,
the DJ costs 40 grand.
Yeah, it's like, I don't think you understand.
Yeah.
But
I think, you know, look, I think that I hate the word, but that's what the underground ethos is. Like, I think underground's such a rubbish word because people often call house and techno underground. It's like, actually, it's probably the biggest style of dance music in the world. Yeah. Listened to by more people. So why is that underground? What, because it doesn't make it
for here, maybe.
It doesn't make it to the, you know, Nova or whatever on the radio. Like, whatever. That's not how the world works anymore, you know?
Yeah, the radio, if you're basing how shit works off the radio.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But I understand what you mean.
It's like micro communities of people all over the world, you know? Like, I would say psytrance is as big as any other genre in the world, but to a person who doesn't know anything about psytrance, they'd hear it and just be like, what?
What is this? What's this?
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, there's regularly festivals with 50,000 people dancing to it almost every weekend in Europe, you know?
Totally.
So, like, you just, I hate the word, but, like, I think that attitude of, like, the DIY, the make it happen no matter what, that's kind of what ends up getting you tagged as an underground promoter.
Yeah.
just because you're not in it for the like.
Let's change that. Let's make it as a grassroots promoter. Yeah, right?
Gosh, well, that's right as well.
Sounds just as bad, doesn't it?
Sounds like a reggae event.
yeah. A startup promoter.
Yeah.
Let's because I really want to get into like how music, obviously it's a huge part of your life, how you got into it, but let's just go have a break quickly.
Yep.
And then we'll come back and we'll get into that stuff.
Maybe.
Sweet.
Cool.
All right, we're back from our little break, toilet break and such. So we said we were going to start talking, a little bit about how you got into music initially, because obviously you've started the label when you talked about, up in Cairns, but how did you first get into music? Was there anything before the house and dance music?
Definitely. Music has kind of been the main current of my life for most of my life.
Uh-huh.
My parents, Ian and Julie, were super into tunes growing up, so I was always like surrounded by them playing vinyl. And
what kind of music?
A little bit of everything. My dad's sort of super into like, Jimi Hendrix and Pink Floyd and all those sort of things, and my mum was kind of into like things like the Beatles and Motown and stuff, but they just had my dad has massive record collection to this day. So like I can remember one of my first memories really is they gave me this tape for Christmas called Santa's Tape for Jesse. And I can't remember much of what was on it, but there was like, I got my mind set on you, and like the Doctor Who theme, which was like a hit in the 80s.
So it's just like a mixtape for
you. Yeah. When I turned 4.
A mixtape from Santa.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's so sick.
Cool. Yeah. So, like I always had music in the house. My dad plays guitar.
Yeah.
One of my earliest memories is just my dad just jamming guitar, singing along, never professionally or anything like that.
Yeah.
Strictly for his own enjoyment.
Yeah.
So, it's always been there. And, like they kind of forced me into playing some instruments. I think they bought me a keyboard when I was about 6 and like had a couple of music books. And then I think when I moved to Cairns, they enrolled me in piano lessons.
Oh, so you weren't born in Cairns?
No. I've lived all over Queensland, actually. Yeah. I was born in Townsville. Don't ever tell too many people
Townsville
that.
boy. Yeah. Well, that's why I went to uni in Townsville for like 7 years, and so that's where I started DJing.
Oh, wow. Cool.
So it's a good bit of an origin
Born in Townsville.
Don't
remember it. I only lived there 6 months. Then I moved. My parents are both school teachers, and they taught in remote Aboriginal communities. So
cool.
Moved from Townsville, moved up to Cape York to Arakoon, and then back to Gordonvale near Cairns.
Gordonvale.
Yeah, where they taught Dad taught at Yarrabah, the local Aboriginal community over the hill. And then I moved to the Gold Coast hinterland at Springbrook, up on the mountain. Lush, beautiful, amazing.
Yeah.
Did like I think we moved there just before I turned 3, and I lived there till I was about 8, started school there.
Yeah.
And then we moved back to Cairns, and I spent the rest of my life in
Growing
Cairns.
up there,
I went to most of my schooling and stuff in Cairns and university.
What school were you at?
Cairns High.
Cairns High.
Yep.
Yeah, represent Cairns High. I was a St. Mary's boy, so.
Oh, St. Mary's!
Yeah, it's like, St. Mary's! Yeah, well, it is what it is.
I used to chase St. Mary's girls, actually, because I lived in Edmonton, so our bus would always stop, pick up Cairns High, and then like took this like massive hour-and-a-half trip to get home, pick up all the St. Mary's kids on the way home. So super tight with St. Mary's crew. My brother actually went there for a while.
Oh yeah, cool.
But so I played piano, and I like did a long period of lessons till I was about 18 actually. So never very good, to be honest. I was like, I've played flute, I've played bass guitar, and I've played piano, but I'm really rubbish at all of them. I was better
good enough to maybe like practice some bits and sample in songs.
Definitely, for sure. And the theory side of it,
you should definitely be doing that then. Yeah.
So the theory side of it, I was always pretty good with.
Well, but
the practical side, not so much. And it was
that
just
lends itself to music production. Then,
more of a case of just like too slack to practice all the time. But I did it, and I like I got pretty far with the piano. Like I was a semi decent piano player for a while. In high school, I was like right into the band thing. Played in like 3 different bands, sort of like a kind of, I guess you could say, a psychedelic funk band. First one, and then the second one was like a proper like kind of rock rap funk band with like a live horn section. I was definitely the worst musician in there. Everybody else went to the conservatorium except for me after school. But we were actually quite successful. We used to play out a lot.
Yeah,
and
cool.
We won the Rocker Stedford National Battle of Bands once, which was a pretty big
That's
deal.
sick.
School,
Yeah, that's a big deal, man.
We're called Audio Technica, named after the music gear, because we actually started because we found this Audio Technica synth sitting on the top of a shelf all dusty at Cairns High. And Cairns High is like a mad music school, like it's produced a lot of amazing musicians. Dan Sultan was a schoolmate of mine. We're still good mates to this day. He's like got 9 arias or something like that now, pretty much bona fide superstar. Shout outs to Dan.
Yeah.
And, Emma Louise is another one that went to Cairns High. I didn't know her at school. She was a bit younger, but I sort of, interviewed her when she was just breaking through. Now she's a superstar. Plenty of top level musicians coming out.
Don't
of
worry,
Cairns High.
I know all the because I obviously did music as well, and I was at St Mary's, so I definitely know that all the Cairns High people are.
We had like recording studios at school.
And, amazing.
And our orchestra was the best in the country. And, like it was a really fertile environment for it. You know? So it's kind of like it was kind of a parallel thing with dance music and like band stuff. I was also in a metal band after the funk band as well called Lung Butter. But
Lung Butter. Oh.
Yeah, we played some pretty big gigs too. I never like Lung Butter was actually a very established band. I joined in the last iteration of it.
Yeah.
But it was sort
of
like,
none of it was dance music or anything.
No,
this was just all bands you were into. You weren't into dance stuff at all growing up?
Yeah. So like at the same time, Cairns had this really kind of at that stage this amazing, vibrant music scene. And there was like band gigs going on for young people, underage, often with school bands and stuff, but were all really good all the time. But what would happen is it'd be like bands up until midnight and then DJs and producers and stuff would start at midnight and it'd kind of turn into a little rave at the end. And like, so my first kind of, experiences with electronic music were that way. But it's sort of at the same time, I've like been into rollerblading since I was about 7.
Yeah.
Again, like music, pretty terrible rollerblader, but I love it.
Yeah.
And like it rollerblading, used to be transmitted via these videos with cool soundtracks.
Yeah.
So I was also really into hip hop and like drum and bass and stuff.
Yeah.
From
because that'd be the stuff that's on the videos.
So like, it was always a little bit of this, a little bit of that at high school. And around the time I was in bands, we also started playing around with music production. Yep. So it was first kind of with my buddy Isaac, who was like a fair bit older than me, maybe like 4 or 5 years older. And he was like right into DJing hip hop on vinyl. And we'd like make drum and bass on Music 2000 on the PlayStation 2. Like,
really?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. He was like the master, like just like smashing out these complex beats on this like PlayStation program, And then at school they had like the earliest version of Fruity Loops.
Yeah.
I think it was like
when it was called Fruity Loops.
Yeah, it's like 2 or something.
Yeah, I remember playing with
it was like basically just like a sequencer and like a drum machine.
I remember at the time it was like you'd be like, oh, what you can click on the little boxes and it makes a beat. I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like, incredible. Yeah.
So like, I started to play around with like making music that way as well at school.
Dabbled in it.
Yeah. But like the band thing kind of gave way after a while.
Yeah.
And it all, like a lot of those band people ended up going to the doofs as well.
Yeah.
So we sort of just transitioned to that. And like I'd always played around DJing, but I wouldn't call myself a DJ. Like, I probably like started fiddling around when I was 14 or 15.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really until the band thing was really done and I was right into electronic music at that stage. And it was psytrance.
Yeah.
And I'd start to actually get a bit serious about making music, and I'd been making all these psytrance tracks, and they were like not, at the time I thought they were cool, and then afterwards I thought they were really rubbish. And now I listen to them again now, and I'm like, they weren't that bad.
Yeah.
But it was like really
cool ideas. Just probably not executed
exactly
how,
Still all right.
Yeah.
But I remember like the reason I wanted to learn to DJ properly, and this is at the stage when there was only really CDJ 100s and CDJ 1000s, and no one had
the 1000s were the new thing.
Yeah, that was like fresh. Oh my God, you can like, but I learned on CDJ 100s, and I got to credit my friend Dwayne, DJ Player One, who's like pretty well-known psytrance DJ from Cairns, still plays all the time. But I remember one time we came back from a club event and he had to work at like 5 a.m. and we got home at like midnight. He's like, I got to crash. But he taught me how to queue up on the CDJ 100s because I didn't have a clue how why the play button went or anything like that. You know, like came from like a vinyl kind of knowledge, which like they didn't translate to me at all at that stage. But he taught me how to queue up, left me in his lounge room with his decks. And by the morning I'd kind of like learned how to beat match, you know? And I think I played my next gig within a couple of weeks of that. Yeah. Because I'd always well embedded in the kind of diff scene, and I had the tunes. I'd been collecting them for years, you know. And like my first advertised gig was in support of a really good friend of mine, Richie, who used to be in a group called Mantrix. Mm-hmm. He's now Interpulse, quite famous. Actually ended up releasing Interpulse's first album on Open Records years later.
Okay,
But I was supporting Richie, and I played, apart from one Sun Control Species track, I played all my own music. Yeah. Until this year, it was literally the only time I ever played any of my music in my sets, because I kind of just got swept up in the DJ thing and realized the music I was making didn't even come close to the stuff I had that I wanted to DJ, you know? So I just got really swept up in the DJing thing. And while I kept like playing around and producing and stuff, and I'd make the odd track, but I was never happy with them. Yeah. You know, and then like to this day, I'm not really, unless I'm like teaming up with a friend or whatever, you know, I still got a little bit of work to go, I think, but I'm definitely way more vibed out this year now. I've got Tune Out with Will and stuff, and some cool stuff in the works with Butters and Will as well.
And then that just gets you excited to keep doing more. And
but, you know, like that's kind of the path in, you know, it was like I was sort of just, music was just always what I did. And then, you know, at the same time as I was, you know, I graduated, or not, didn't even really graduate. I did my cadetship. I went to uni for a while, then finished my cadetship at the Cairns Post newspaper, and I became the entertainment editor and was just covering music, arts, movies, all the fun stuff for like the first 8 years of my career. So there was a period there where, you know, my whole life was like write about music and put together this street press and magazine lift out for the newspaper every week during the week. And then the weekends I was either out reviewing gigs for the paper or playing them myself. Yeah. You know, so like there was a whole, you know, period of my life where it was just all music. And like it was cool, it was amazing, but I did get a little bit burnt out towards the end. Yeah. And I found now, like I moved down here and took a job in the regular news, editing a couple of the local papers around Brisbane. And I think now that they're separate worlds, I actually feel like my music is really my passion, and it's not like a job anymore.
So when you're working on the music, you're not like, oh, I'm at work. Like this it doesn't feel like work. It feels like something you enjoy doing.
Yeah, it felt like my whole life was like working for music for a while, and that was cool because it's like when I kicked the goals and started Open, and you know, got involved in running events and things like that. But it really wasn't till I moved down here. There was definitely a period where I did get burnt out.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Because when it's your whole life, like it's great, but you know, I suppose the thing you were doing for the work for the paper wasn't necessarily your thing. No, you're still doing it for someone else.
Yeah, totally. And look, you know, when you're literally forced, like I used to get sent nearly every CD that ever came out in Australia, and you're like forced to like listen to a bunch of music you don't really like that much. Yeah, and most of the time you're writing about stuff. It's not really your passion or your vibe. It's your job, and I'm happy to do it and support it. Yeah. And I like such a wide range of music that it wasn't like...
Yeah, it wasn't too tedious or anything.
But, you know, there was a period, I guess, when I'd been doing it for such a long time that I did burn out and I needed a break. And, you know, that sort of coincided with the Open stuff we talked about earlier when things kind of went down a little bit.
Bit of a break.
Yeah, I had a bit of a break. And so I stopped for a while, and then when I got down, moving to Brisbane was such a great thing. Yeah. You know, I think...
It's that change, right?
You know, coming to a fresh scene, having fresh opportunities. Took me a while to like kind of really build myself into the scene, but excuse me, feel like I'm part of the furniture now. Yeah. And, you know, like it's really inspired me to be a better musician, better DJ, all these things. I think there's a lot to learn playing in a place like Brisbane.
Yep.
You know, and like the community, like I said, it's really vibrant here and everyone's really passionate. So I've learned a lot off my friends and people I've worked with and whatever, and like kicked goals that I hadn't kicked when music was my full deal, you know? Like getting a tune out for me this year, even though like, you know, it's taken me 13 years of running the label to do that.
Yeah.
You know, I've compiled plenty of compilations and done DJ mixes and things, but never had anything really I could, you know, say was part my own at least. And now I do. It's just given me this whole like rush of inspiration. And I actually just literally splurged 4K on a new MacBook this week, so I can really get serious about doing it myself. And I just moved into a new pad as well.
Yeah, sick.
It's got a little studio room, like a study, but it's just perfect for a music studio. So
a little space. It's always good to have a little space dedicated to the music kind of thing.
Yeah, like
it?
I've been working from home as well, so it's like kind of doubles as an office, gets me out of the bedroom and the laptop, you know. So I feel like it's the start of a real new chapter in what I'm doing. You know, I've got something.
And that all started from COVID then.
Yeah,
so
totally.
Really, well, you know, like, because like, what were you doing when like, so COVID's hit? How did that change your plans for open records and stuff? And so what happened when COVID sort of hit?
Changed my whole life, really.
Yeah.
There's this year's been, I know a lot of people haven't had a greatest year.
Yeah.
And I'm totally like, I just feel for everybody who's struggled through this. I know like a very large group of my friends lost most of their work overnight.
Pretty much because we're so entrenched in the music industry.
If that was
all
your
our
only
friends
thing.
are unemployed kind of thing.
That's it. If that was your only
it's
thing.
It's coming back now and it's getting better, but
But like for me, it's actually been a great year. Like, you know, I work in the news. Obviously, the COVID thing is the greatest news event of anyone's lifetime. Probably will remain to be the greatest thing that
it's historic.
You know, it's like nothing like this.
We're living through a historic moment
like this before. You know.
Yeah.
So not only did my work like just get majorly busy, like I never stopped working.
Yeah.
But I also like I'd booked in an operation for my nose. I got punched in the face when I was like 15, and gradually my nose kind of just shut up over my life when I was having a bit of trouble breathing, and it was kind of having some flow-on effects to my health and things. So finally bit the bullet with my private health insurance and booked this operation in.
Yeah.
And I was like likely to be out of action from life for like 2-3 months while that recovered anyway.
Yeah.
And I was literally the last operation that happened.
The last one.
Literally, my doctor said to me...
Before they were like, no more operations.
He said to me as I was about to get my like anesthetic in the hospital, he's like, you are literally the last guy I'm going to see before the lockdown kicks in.
Now count backwards from 10.
Yeah, basically, So, you know, I was preparing myself for a 2-3 month chill period anyway. Basically, everybody else had to do exactly the same because
you were forced to.
The biggest lockdown bit for Queensland at that stage.
Yeah,
it was pretty like hardcore. Like,
the
recovery wasn't nice, and I couldn't even have a hot shower or coffee.
Yeah,
like
what did you actually have to have done? Because I've had a nose thing, but it's because I've got allergies, and like they had to scrape out, they had to break my nose, like all this stuff.
Basically, my septum was like a zigzag. And from being punched, and it had like healed that way.
Your inner nose was crooked.
So
that's what I had. I had that same thing.
They had to like drill out. They also had to remove some cartilage off my turbinates, which are like little flaps in your nose that stop big things getting up there because they kind of overcompensated over 20 years of growing. So like my whole nose is basically, I only like 20% capacity in each nostril.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I basically got that done, and like, you know, you're literally bleeding from your face for like a month afterwards more.
So beforehand, did they give you because I remember when I did it and I was like 18 or something, but they give you medical grade cocaine sprayed up your nose?
Didn't get anything like that.
I had that because it's for what I had to do, it shrinks the blood vessels so you don't bleed as much.
I had to like it's pretty gross, but I had to like wash my nose out with a flow bottle a few times a day. And like some of the stuff that was coming out in the first bit, I'm not even going to talk about here. It was disgusting.
I had to do some of that stuff.
But what that forced me to do is, you know, like, one, I had to really look after my health, you know, and it's not that I don't. I'm a pretty healthy person most of the time anyway, but I couldn't do any exercise for 3 months or 2.5 months until I got the all clear.
Yeah,
because any kind of bleeding, just pumping blood. That's why I couldn't have coffee or have a hot shower, because it pumps up your blood and makes my nose bleed. So, like, I had to really just like do a full adjustment of my life, and I sort of got into like meditation and stuff, which I hadn't been doing for a while. As soon as I could exercise, I really got stuck into the blading again, because it was like the most easiest form of exercise.
Blading's fun too.
Yeah, it's the best. Like I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I also like had to like think of something to do while I was basically bailed up in bed. So all these things sort of came together to be a perfect storm of, you know, like bettering my life.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like after all this, and I'm completely lucky to say this, I realize I'm not trying to rub it in any way to anyone who's had a tough time, but it was actually a huge kind of blessing to me. This whole thing happened, because it's just forced a real rethink of my life, you know? And I think, there's a bit of a lesson in that. I think this whole thing, bad and good, has had an effect, you know? Yeah. And I was thinking about this before. It's like the music that we love, house and techno, it kind of really rose out of that same struggle period as well.
Yeah, yep.
I don't know if anyone's ever seen High Tech Soul, but if you really want to see a documentary about how techno really started in Detroit, well worth watching. Explains it from the point of view of all of the literal 4 guys that were like doing it from like the start.
The Godfathers.
The Godfathers. They call them the Belleville Three because they had a fight with one of them, and he just got written out of the history books because the other 3
dudes. Oh, really? They're like, no, fuck that guy.
Yeah,
that guy's a dick. Fuck him.
Pretty much. But, you know, it's like people like Warren Atkins, Kevin Saunderson, Derek May, they're the Belleville Three, you know. And then like some later guys like Richie Horton and stuff who lived across in Canada but came over to Detroit to party. But it's like the story of how techno started. And, you know, like Detroit at that period was in like complete shutdown. You know, it used to be the car making, it still was. But what had happened was like all these people whose parents had worked in the factories, all the factories got automated by machines. And suddenly you've got a whole city, 5 million people, with all of the adults out of work, you know? So the whole city just turned derelict. Like you literally wouldn't have walked down the main street of Detroit during the middle of the day because it was so dangerous. But these guys who like had been listening to stuff like Kraftwerk and, you know, early other synth groups, and like Chicago, house had started to happen in Chicago.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, which is only, you know, a few 100 Ks up the road from Detroit. They're very close.
Yeah, they're close, yeah.
Just on a side note, when people ask me what's the difference between house and techno, I often just say like 262 miles.
Yeah.
Literally the 2 cities where it started. But, you know, I remember like these guys are saying in the doco, it's like the city was completely downtrodden, but from that came an opportunity. They had all these empty spaces all over the city. And in the early days, techno was just a bunch of poor black people dancing to music all night in an empty space. They didn't do drugs. They weren't getting drunk. They just had a strobe light, some tunes, speakers, and a bunch of people dancing.
In like a warehouse
or an
abandoned space or whatever.
And that's where this whole thing started. You know, so I think there's a lesson there.
Yeah.
That anyone who's feeling like, you know, things are pretty tough at the moment, or like, and I know it's hard to think about anything when you might be struggling to even like make ends meet.
Yeah.
But there's always an opportunity to be had in a bad situation.
Yeah.
And I think like I taught myself that this year, that like something that I was kind of really anticipating to be horrible ended up turning out to be really good for me. And it's because I made decisions to do what I could with the tools that I had. Rather than getting all like, oh, I'm so laid out and it's painful and you know.
But I think it's what you were talking about before. It's about having a purpose. You know, like for a lot of people in the music industry, it's been like, this has happened and I'm not DJing anymore. Particularly for people who just DJ.
Yeah.
They don't produce. They're like, well, what's my purpose now? I don't really have a purpose. And so it's hard to get motivated for things. But, you know, that's why I think, you know, producers and things maybe do have a bit more purpose because they're like, I can spend time doing it. But I think that's something that that I've tried to really push for people is like, if you can find a purpose in this whole thing. You can't do whatever your old purpose was.
No,
you know,
it's gone.
So
It's
what's your new thing that you're going to be able to do?
We might never go back to the way things were. You know,
I don't think it will.
No.
I don't think it's always going to be different.
It's always going to be different. Something big's happened, and it's readjusted the way everyone thinks about things. But you know, even if you are a DJ, live streaming, that has absolutely exploded.
Yeah,
and there's people who are perhaps, excuse me, like just a bedroom DJ before.
Yeah.
But now maybe have 1,000 people who've watched them DJ.
Yeah.
And
that wouldn't before.
They'll never have seen them because they never got a gig before.
Yeah.
You know? And it shows, like obviously dance floor and all these things are like a huge part of what we do.
Yeah.
But it also shows that like if you make the best of your sitcho, then you can hit the ground running again when, you know, like I think when things really do kick back off again, anybody who's been pumping out mixes and tunes during this
doing
break,
things,
promoters,
clubs, everyone's watching.
Yeah,
we're all watching.
All at home going, okay,
we're all watching what everyone's doing. So if you're someone who's doing something cool, putting in the effort, working, still, you know, passionate about it, it shows that you're actually passionate about it. You're not just there for the clout. You're not just there to be the guy with the bar tab or the guy up at the or girl, sorry, guy or girl.
Yeah.
Up, you know, on the decks being the popular famous person with the lights and all that. Like it shows that you're actually you love the thing.
Yeah.
Not the result, the thing. Like we were talking about earlier,
if I was,
you know.
like looking at a new person to book at the end of all this, I would be thinking about who really gave it a red hot go and did well. You know, obviously you got to be up to scratch.
Yeah.
But
you've got to
again,
be
like, with a live stream, it's pretty easy to see if you're up to scratch.
Yeah.
You know, like everything's captured on video.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's live.
Yeah, it's live. It's happening. So, you know, I think that's where a case of being a go-getter really does make a difference because it's like people are watching. Like back to what we said earlier, you don't always see that they're watching.
Yeah.
But people are watching. Not everybody likes everything. Not everybody comments on everything online. Doesn't mean they haven't watched it. You know, like I often will be just sitting there bored, scrolling through, watch 20 minutes of a mix or something. Yeah. You know, even if I don't listen to the whole thing, I've still seen it, you know?
Yeah, you still got the idea of what's going on.
Yeah, that's it. And like, you need to see, like, there has been some innovation in the space. You know, we've got things like the virtual Burning Man, which, like, I went to, and frankly, the idea was probably cooler than the execution a little bit in some
regards. They didn't have much time.
No, that's it.
But, you know, but because that's the internet in 1996.
Yeah.
Or whatever, you know what I mean? Totally. Like, you know, that's...
But it happened. Like, you can cruise around, watch DJs playing in a virtual world. People are doing it in Minecraft. There's whole festivals of Minecraft now, you know?
This is the baby. This is the baby beginning of it.
Yeah, that's it. And there's just like, this is only going to get, like, you think people are going to forget about this when, like... this is all over and we're back dancing again. Hell no. Everyone's going to keep streaming.
Imagine if you could go to a club in fucking the UK or Germany or something from Brisbane.
Yeah. I mean, that's...
in a VR... You know what I mean?
It's going to be happening. Like, we're on the cusp of, like, you know, 10 years, what's virtual reality going to be like? It's going to be, like, real. You're going to be able to walk around a venue with an Oculus Rift or whatever, and it's going to be, like, almost... like looking at the real thing. I mean, you only need to look at video game graphics or whatever now to see how close we are to like crossing
It's going to keep getting better
line,
and better.
You know?
I had one of the development kits, the Oculus Rift, like 5 years ago, and like, the graphics are so average, but the concept was there, you know?
I mean, if you go do the VR stuff in Brisbane, even if the graphics aren't great, like you walk up to like, there's a zombie one in Newstead near where I live. If you walk up to the edge, you know, of the drop-off, even though it's not actually there, your brain kind of goes like, I don't want to walk.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, how long is it going to be until that line is crossed and we are living in that world of what we thought 2020 would be like, frankly. You know, we thought we'd have hoverboards by now. We got Lime scooters, you know, it's not exactly lived up to.
It's not exactly the same. But there's still assholes riding around on scooters fucking people up.
That's it. But you know, like, I don't think we're really that far off that high-tech future. Like, if you think about even 10 years ago, how
Yeah,
different.
how far, like how things just progress so quickly these days, you know, and definitely watch this space because working on some stuff. I think I mentioned it earlier
something
before.
happening.
So we're working on some cool stuff, but we'll see how that works. But
I've always been kind of fascinated with futurism, you know. I'm kind of into sci-fi and
same. I'm always like, what's next?
Yeah.
What's the next thing?
Yeah,
like, what can we do?
And there's so much of that feeds into each other, you know. Like, often things like art help inspire the things that follow, you know. Like early comics, like I remember like Tintin went to the moon, you know, 50 years before they went to the moon. The whole idea was actually pretty close.
Yeah.
You know? But it's like
that's it.
You know, it's like there's so much stuff.
Because art is such a creation and imagination.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's like, oh, well, we could actually probably make that happen eventually.
Yeah, totally. You know, and that's how this stuff works. And you know, maybe that's why I don't think there's some great conspiracy with The Simpsons. Like they say, I think they were just like a visionary thing. The amount of things that happened on The Simpsons, Donald Trump being president, all this stuff, you know, people think that's some like Illuminati thing. Nah, it's just like good art with forward-thinking people who could like capture what was going to happen in 10 or 20 or 30 years' time, you know?
And also the world's crazy and that kind of shit can just happen sometimes.
I mean, anything can happen now, let's face it. Like,
if
you thought back a year ago and said, what would you be doing in 2020?
I predicted when COVID like started hitting in like April, March kind of time, I was like, you watch, this is what's going to, or whenever Biden was said that he was going to be the thing, I said, you watch, this is what's going to happen. Trump and Biden are going to get COVID. Yeah. They're both going to die. Yeah. And then America's going to put Kanye in as the caretaker, and he's never going to leave. He's going to be there forever.
Dictator Kanye.
Yeah, so, you know, like,
all hail
it's
Supreme
slowly
Leader
getting closer because, you know, Trump's got COVID. We just need Biden to get it.
Please don't put Kanye in.
I know. Wait, but like,
it'd be funny, but like the guy would have the nuke codes.
Yeah,
I don't think that's very safe.
I don't think it's safe either, but I think it's just hilarious that it's sort of like slowly playing out.
This week on Keeping Up with the Kardashians, we're going to nuke a small country. No, I think, you know, unfortunately we do lack visionary leaders in all parts of the world right now.
Yeah, definitely.
That's how we're going to get through this. The best way is if we can actually, you know, put some people in power that know what they're doing, and it isn't. But I think that's the problem with like
big, large establishments is they don't think outside the box because they're so trained to be fit within the system that they don't think outside, and it's kind of hurts.
Yeah, but maybe that's what this thing's about, you know. Like, who knows? You know, like I think every century, if you look at it, has had one or multiple events that have really changed the course of humanity. You know. Last century, you had the Great Depression. You had the First and Second World Wars. You know, you had Vietnam.
Like all the revolutions.
You know, and you
had
the
technology
revolutions.
The internet. Yeah. Like, you know, huge. That's it.
So we're just at the start of that now. You know, like if you think about it, like the internet hasn't been around for that long. It was
20, 30 years?
Well, more than that. They had like, you know, networks in NASA.
Networks don't count. Like the internet as it is. Like we said, the late 90s is when it started to be to the public kind of thing.
And I think actually back to Detroit, you know, like that was one of the things that differentiated house from techno is that the guys like Juan Atkins were reading books by Alvin Toffler, who's a really well-known sci-fi author.
Oh, okay,
and he's like the guy they say, you know, predicted the internet in his novels well before it was a thing, you know. Yeah. And, you know, the reason techno is not called Detroit House, that nearly happened. They were calling it Detroit House. Yeah. And there was a compilation coming out, and it was initially called The Future Sound of Detroit House. But on it, there was a track by Juan Atkins, I think it was his Cybertron, which was his original project, which if you listen to now is basically sounds like techno today, but just with not as good production. Yeah. But there was a track on there, and he'd read out a sample from an Alvin Toffler novel. Yeah. And it was, "We are the Techno Rebels." At the very last minute, they changed the name of that compilation from The Future Sound of Detroit House to The Future Sound of Detroit Techno. And I know that there've been some people calling it techno in Germany before that, but that was like all electronic music. And maybe that's where that dichotomy of like people who just call all dance music techno and techno being a genre comes from. But like that is how literally why there's even a difference between house and techno these days is that. And it was a sci-fi novel. It was that futuristic idea, like house in Detroit. I mean, house in Chicago was all funky and disco influenced, you know, and Detroit, it was a bit more machine
like
because all their parents got replaced in their jobs by machines. You know, and
Man,
that's a pretty
that's cool.
If you think about that,
I never knew. Like I didn't know
it's
that.
a pretty sci-fi thing to happen.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
cool, man. Like,
And then
well, it's cool for the story of it.
And there was
at the time, I'm sure it sucked.
No, and like House did predate it a little bit, but there was a DJ in Chicago. His name escapes me at the moment. Who was playing all the house and disco and stuff, and he was like the coolest DJ in that part of America, and he picked up that early techno music from Wayne Atkins, Derek May, Kevin Saunderson, and the like. And
that's sick.
And like started playing it too. And that's really how our whole thing kind of arose. It was probably took till it escaping to Europe.
Yeah.
For it to really explode and become like the thing that is today.
Yeah.
Came from a very small scene in America. They say it's like football, you know, like soccer. Soccer was invented in, you know, the States, but it took going to Europe.
For a
northern, you know, the northern cities of London and Berlin and things like that to really become a huge thing. But, you know, like, it's just, I find that stuff really fascinating. I'm a real huge history buff as well. So
I always say, like, it's important to know where you've come from to know where you're going. You need to know the history and stuff.
I think that's been lost a lot, though. I think that's one of the characteristics of this whole world we live in now, everything being so fast-paced and information being all there, is that like people don't even like
know or care
about the history of the thing that they love.
Either.
They don't care. They don't go and find it. Like I think I'm at that age where I still remember when you had to like, for instance, buying hip hop CDs. There was no way to hear the latest tunes. If you try to load a tune on the internet when I was 13, it took like 24 hours to load a like 2-minute sample MP3, you know, because the internet was so slow. So how I'd have to get music was I'd like buy the Source magazine, which was like this big US hip hop magazine. And I'd like,
it would describe it to you.
It would like, there'd be a review on the latest thing and they'd like tell you this is dope or it wasn't. And I'd go into like my local Sanity and like order it off my friend Ed, who was this like pro skateboarder dude covered in tats. Yeah. You know, super into the tunes.
Yeah.
DJs as well.
Yeah.
And like, he'd like order me in these CDs from the States and I'd pay like, you know, $50 for an album when all the rest were 30 because they were stocked in the stock. Now everything's just served to you by an algorithm, you know?
Yeah.
I think the illustration of it is, remember when like Paul McCartney from the Beatles did a song with Kanye?
Oh, yeah.
And then on Twitter, everyone was like, man, this Paul McCartney guy is going to blow up. It's like, you serious? Like, Paul McCartney has sold like 1 billion records.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. You know, I remember seeing that. That was so hilarious.
Like, how could anybody not know who the freaking Beatles are? You know, like, and that just blows my mind that you could even like listen to any kind of music and not know that history. But
same with the new thing with Lil Nas and Billy Ray Cyrus with that thing. I was like, oh, this Billy Ray Cyrus. It's like, are you serious?
It's like, Marley's dad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's a real disconnect now. And I think it's really healthy knowing where you come from and what the things you love, you know, you got to appreciate that, you know, people like there is a sense of kind of black culture appropriation in house and techno music, you know, and there's a lot of things that some white boy in Sydney never realizes that his music comes from the ghetto in America, you know, like you kind of got to respect that and you got to respect,
definitely,
you know, where the roots are to really know where to go with this. And
like, to be honest, like history repeats itself.
Yeah.
So like what you're talking about now with, you know, this time of COVID, I'm not saying that it will, but maybe another genre will be born from this just because of the, you know, the tough times and, you know, maybe it could be you. Yeah. It could be, you know what I mean? Like,
do fresh shit.
Yeah.
And you might end up being, you know, 20 years time, you might be that guy. You might be the Wayne Atkins of...
The one who invented...
Yeah.
Fucking, I don't know. I don't know. I can't even come up with a name for the new
like
genre.
I said, even the most like biggest genres in the world were literally played by a few people when they started. Like just a handful of mates.
Yeah.
You know, little scenes can build big things when they spread. you know, and you don't have control of that spread.
And you don't know what's going to happen.
No.
You don't know. And
you've just got to put it out in the ether.
You got to put it out there and just hope, and you never know, like something happens. And that's, honestly, that's just how life works. Like you do something and then all of a sudden other opportunities rise.
When you hear like the origin story of anything, it's always so crazy. Yeah. Like it's like you couldn't write that shit.
Yeah.
You know, like the best author in the world wouldn't be able to really be as creative as how it really goes down. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And it's like, I find that fascinating. And I think anybody, I encourage anybody who like is really into something. Yeah. You should like check out where it came from and what the people that made it happen and like appreciate that. And like, it's cool to pay homage to that. You know, that's where I think paying homage is healthy. You know, like if you can put a nod to the things that stood before you, but do it in your own way. Yeah, that's the best kind of anything. Yeah, you know,
exactly. Like I said, it's taking influence, but not copying.
Yeah, appreciate. You know,
appreciating it. Yeah. So I wanted
good artists copy, bad artists steal.
Isn't that the opposite to what it usually is that they say?
Yeah, that's about sampling. That's a shirt I used to have.
So I want to know, you know, Open Records. Where did the name come from? Like, how did that start for Open Records?
Respect to Algernon Renton, I think, on that one. Yeah. Quite a popular producer, makes Psytrance under Positive Thought and Glitch Hop under Staunch. And with my other friend JMO and a bunch of other funny projects, Mustard Tiger, I think is one of the other ones. Yep. But it just used to be one of the things that he said, let's get open. Meant like, you know, party.
Let's get loose, like partying,
you know. And
let's
it also
get open.
But it was also like, it was just, you know, we were at outdoor parties. Yeah. You know, where you basically got the sky. Yeah. You know.
I mean, you're in Cairns.
Yeah, that's it. And it was always like our ethos wasn't, you know, it wasn't about a genre. Yeah. So it just kind of fit, you know.
It's open to anyone.
It's open, that's it. Yeah. It was just, and like just attitude and life and whatever. It was kind of, definitely didn't like really name it. And to be fair, the name was actually originally, there was a events production company that I was involved with but wasn't a main part of, called Open Productions, and they used to do a festival in Cairns. But the guy I started the label with, Ian, was one of the main guys. And initially,
so he was one of the main guys of the Open Productions, yeah.
And initially, we were trying to think of a name for ages, and like you know, there was a festival coming up, and eventually we just went, why don't we just call it Open Records and be a separate thing, but like you know, it comes from the same place. So that's where the name came from.
So it was playing homage to where it came from.
Yeah, it's like a gift from the universe, and shout out to all the original Open Productions OGs,
crew and everything,
Mossy, Ian, Trainer, Dwayne, all the guys that were behind that, because like I wouldn't have this thing that I do right now without that name. It's like, it's a pretty cool name, I reckon. And
exactly.
People still comment on it, you know, and I think it just fits what we do in so many different ways.
Yeah, cool. So what have you got coming up? Like, obviously you said you've got the Doppel album that you guys are working on. But what else can, you know, we talked about the Open Sundays that are going on. Is there anything else you got going on or anything you want to talk about?
Will Boy with Boat was also lucky enough to score one of the COVID grants.
Oh, sweet.
So he got this time by the Queensland government, which shout out to Q Music and Queensland government for backing, you know, Brisbane electronic music.
Music, man,
you know?
Yeah, for sure.
You know, a lot of the time, in the old days, those grants would probably just go to all bands and stuff, so it's cool to see someone like Will get it. He's showed me, I think, 8 tracks so far. Still works in progress.
Yeah.
But that's coming as well, so another album project. We've got some music signed by Funk Form, who's one of the original Open artists. One of my buddies, known him. We were went to school together. We didn't know each other super well at school, but grew up together in Cairns.
Isn't that funny when you you grow up with someone, go to the same school and all that, grow up together, but you don't really connect, and then later on in life you end up being friends.
We've been mates for most of our adult lives. He's in Melbourne right now, but he's pretty much my favourite producer along with Doppel. Yeah. So we've got some music coming from him. He's got so much tunes, but he's really hard to squeeze them out of. So I'm glad we finally got.
He's like, I got all these tunes. It's like, oh no, that one's not good.
He just writes so much music that he
so
moves.
Sick though. He's like, nah.
He just moves on too quickly. But guy's a genius. One of the most amazing producers I've ever met, and I'm stoked that we finally locked some stuff down there. Got another one coming from Taya, who is from North Coast, New South Wales. Again, solid dude. One of the best producers in Australia, I reckon.
Yeah.
Fat tune. Can't wait to do that. And then I'm actually kind of just actively like probing around for some new stuff at the moment. That doesn't mean flood me with too much tunes. I've got, I'm really keen to get something more from Thank You City happening, and I know they've got a bunch of other music on the way. And then we've got Earth Frequency Festival, in February. We've been running like the Sunday session there for quite a while now.
Yeah.
I've been playing it since it was like a tiny little doof. Now it's a 5,000 person festival, and it's actually run by Paul Abad, who was one of the original Open Records DJs.
Yeah, nice.
So, it's very close to home with us there. And so this year, still got our Sunday session. Be a little bit of a different format. Can't talk about that too much at the moment.
No, but fine. We don't want to give away too many secrets.
It's super exciting.
Just build a little bit of hype, but we don't want to give away too much.
But it's happening, and like tickets are on sale, and I think by February we're going to be like pretty clear with what's going on. So I encourage everyone, and there's Elements Festival as well, where a lot of our guys play, and again it's pretty close to home with the people putting it on and stuff.
Yeah.
All really good friends.
Trent and all those,
massive supporters of Open Records for the years. Trent's actually the first person other than Paul flew me down to play at Earth Freak when I was still living in Cairns, right in the early days. Multiple times he did that. And Trent was the first person that booked me for a Brisbane club show other than Paul.
Yeah, nice.
I remember I came down, I can't remember what year it was, but booked me to play with Sun Control Species at the old Bar Soma.
Bar Soma, RIP,
totally. And got interviewed in Scene magazine and everything. Like I felt pretty cool, I must admit, at the time. But like they're guys I've known since day dot.
Yeah.
Between sort of,
which is awesome when you've got guys who you've known from the beginning and you can still do shit now.
Yeah, totally. And it made my transition into Brisbane a much easier place as well, because I'd been coming down to play for years, so I had lots of friends.
Yeah.
Obviously the Manifest guys who the party's not happening anymore, but they were like some of the other early people to book me. So like between sort of Paul, Benny, Renan and Tay and Trent, that was like pretty solid Brisbane promoters.
Little crew,
that always got me down
sorted
me out. So, when I did move to Brisbane, it wasn't long until I found friends and stuff, and I had a bunch of people that I knew here already, made the transition here pretty easy. I mean, I've always, like my parents are from Brisbane. I lived on the Gold Coast. My
so you've got a connection to here anyway.
Uncles, aunties, everything are all here.
Yeah.
So it was always like a second home to me, even when I didn't live here. So it seemed like a natural place to end up.
Yeah, for sure. Well, man, it's exciting. Like I've loved the whole chat today, and I can't wait to see one of these Sunday,
me too.
Open Sundays. That's gonna be, when's the first one starting?
11th. Yeah.
The 11th of October, so this month. And you can stand to drink. And in December, we'll be having open weddings.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to dance.
We're launching a Doppel Pro Model shampoo. No, that's a joke, but Andy might get a laugh out of that. But no, it's going to be cool. It kicks off at 3:00. I think tickets are online now for $10 each. All the money goes to keeping the venue running.
Yeah, supporting the scene. Like, and that's important
we're
right
all
now.
not making any money off this, believe me. It's really just...
No, it's like there's no money to be made.
It's for the love at the moment. And it's like if you can come along, come in early. It's going to be chill music from the start, kind of move from chill, deep house, progressive into like some techier stuff later. Finishes up 10:30. You can either go home to bed or stay out. It's just the usual Sunday business. We're back. Can't wait to do it, and super stoked.
With all the crew and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, man, I think it's so important for people to support the scene and put these things on, because without that, like you said, it's not about the money.
No.
It's about supporting the scene and putting it on. And without that kind of stuff, and without people doing what yourself and a lot of other people do in the scene, it just wouldn't happen.
Yeah, shout outs to everyone who's like, pulled up their boots and kept it going.
Like big ups to you and all the people, Sub Rosa and all the other venues and stuff,
everything.
Promoters and everything doing stuff. I think, I've always said before this thing happened, COVID happened, that you need people to support the scene who keep it going, who aren't in it for the money. And even more so now. So I really appreciate everything you're doing and all of the other people around.
Shout outs to you for supporting as well. You know, that's the thing. It's not just about the people that put it on. It's about the people who promote it. It's about the people who make it, you know, visible. It's about every single person, including just the people who come along to dance. Like you don't even
the punters.
Yeah, if
like,
you
guys
come along
are
to dance, you're just as important. Or
while you're
more
sitting.
important.
While you're sitting for now.
Sitting.
Apparently,
though, you can wiggle your hips at the bar.
Oh.
The chief health officer said
you can wiggle your hips
at the bar. I don't know where the line between dancing and wiggling hips is.
Is the chief health officer a male? Does he just want people twerking at the bar? Is that what he's saying?
She's Dr. Jeanette Young. Done a great job through the crisis. You know, say what you will.
Yeah.
But
man, tough job. Could you imagine being anyone?
High pressure job in Australia right now.
Everyone's like, nah, that's shit. You're wrong.
Like, getting bombarded from every corner, stuck to their guns at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, we're going to be able to wiggle a little bit. We're definitely going to be able to stand.
There's a bit of wiggling room.
There's some bit of wiggle room in the rules by the sounds. But yeah, look, and just make sure you do what the venue says because no one wants this to end in tears.
Yeah.
Don't like get an inch and take a mile.
If we all do the right thing, I think we can come out.
Yeah, better,
soon.
Stronger, faster. And you know what?
Otherwise, they're going to crack down and be like, nah, use a break in the rules. You can't stand and drink.
It's we have a chance to make Brisbane, well, it already is, but we have a chance to make Brisbane the most happening city.
I thought you were going to use it.
I thought
you were going to choose a Trump quote there. And make Brisbane great again.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
It's been great for a long time.
Yeah, that's it.
But take it to the next level.
Yeah. Make Brisbane already great. No. But look, we've got a real golden chance here to lead the pack. So let's all get together and make this shit happen, I reckon.
I think that's honestly what music and the whole industry should always be about. But I think that's a great way to end the podcast. So cheers, man. Thanks for coming on, and make sure you check out Open Records. And so where can we find them?
Pretty much everywhere you can find us.
Open Records.
Yeah, look up Open Records. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. We're on YouTube, although I don't do enough on YouTube these days. You can find us, you want our music. It's on Beatport. It's on Spotify, Tracksource.
It's everywhere.
Juno, you name it, we're there. Pretty easy to find.
We'll put some links in the show notes and all that kind of stuff. So
I really appreciate it. And anytime you spend a couple of hard-earned bucks at the moment on artists, not only are you helping us survive, but you're putting, it's Feed the Hungry Artists Fund at the moment, and that's really important. So
supporting the scene.
If you've got a couple of bucks to spare, it's like the price of a coffee. You can take home 3 really good tunes, and any label, whether it's us or anyone else you support in this time, is going to be really loving it. So.
And you'll get way more enjoyment than that one coffee from 3 of these amazing tunes. Yeah. So, all right, man.
Literally is.
Thanks for the chat. Really loved everything we talked about, and can't wait to check out one of the Sunday records things. So,
absolute pleasure, mate. Peace.
Cheers, guys.